Before the first American bomb fell on Iranian soil, before the first Revolutionary Guard missile left its launcher, before anyone in Washington had even finished reading the intelligence briefing that started this war, Iran had already won the first battle. Not with missiles, not with drones, not with the kind of weapon you can see on a satellite image or track on a radar screen. Iran won the first battle by putting several thousand metal objects, each one roughly the size of a washing machine, into the water of the Strait of Hormuz. And the most terrifying part of that sentence is not the number. The most terrifying part is what happened next. Iran lost the coordinates for at least 40% of them. The Strait of Hormuz is 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Through that gap, every single day, passes 20% of all the oil that moves anywhere on Earth. 17 million barrels per day. 330 supertankers per month. Every drop of petroleum that keeps Japan running, that keeps South Korea's factories open, that keeps the lights on across the entire Arabian Peninsula, passes through that narrow corridor of water. And somewhere beneath the surface, there are thousands of naval mines sitting on the seafloor, and nobody has a complete and accurate map of where every single one of them is. To understand how this happened, you need to understand what a naval mine actually is. Iran operates three categories of mines in the Persian Gulf. The first is the contact mine, a device that detonates when a ship's hull physically strikes it. The second is the influence mine, a device that uses sensors to detect the magnetic signature, the acoustic signature, or the pressure wave of a passing ship, and detonates without any contact at all. These mines can be programmed to let small vessels pass, and only detonate when they detect something the size of a destroyer or a supertanker. The third category, and the one that keeps American naval commanders awake at night, is the rocket-propelled rising mine. This device sits on the seafloor in deep water, detects a target above it, and launches an explosive upward through the water column to strike the hull from below. Iran acquired the design from Russia in the 1990s and has been manufacturing its own version ever since. The mining of the strait did not begin when this war began. It began years earlier, in stages. The first confirmed large-scale mining operation took place in 2019, during the period of maximum tension following the American withdrawal from the nuclear agreement. Satellite imagery showed Revolutionary Guard vessels operating at night in the southern section of the strait. The American response was to note the activity, log it in classified reports, and do nothing. A second major mining operation was detected in late 2022 along the shipping lanes on the Omani side of the strait, the same side where the 17 undersea internet cables run. A third operation was detected in the weeks immediately before this war began. By the time American warships were ordered to enforce the naval blockade, the seafloor had been seeded with mines across three separate operations spanning 6 years. And because the Revolutionary Guard conducted these operations in secret, using vessels that reported through channels that did not include Iran's conventional navy, the Central Command in Tehran never assembled a complete master chart. The right hand did not know exactly what the left hand had placed in the water. The number that American defense analysts are working with is somewhere between 3,500 and 4,200 mines total. The uncertainty exists because Iran itself does not have a precise count. The mines were laid by multiple Revolutionary Guard units operating independently under a decentralized command structure. Some units kept meticulous records. Others logged approximate coordinates that have since drifted from reality as currents moved the mines from their original positions. Mines anchored to the seafloor by cables have had those cables corrode and break, allowing the mines to drift. A mine laid at a specific coordinate in 2019 is not at that coordinate in 2025. It is somewhere nearby, within a radius that could be as small as 50 meters or as large as several kilometers. There are mines in the Strait of Hormuz right now whose locations are unknown to every government and every navy on Earth. Think about what that means for a shipping captain trying to move a supertanker through this water. A supertanker loaded with 2 million barrels of crude oil needs nearly 3 miles to come to a complete stop. It cannot maneuver quickly. It cannot dodge. 600 vessels are currently anchored outside the strait, waiting for clearance to enter. Every captain is making the same calculation. The official shipping lanes have been declared theoretically safe by American naval authorities. The word theoretically is doing an enormous amount of work in that sentence. The asymmetry of this problem is the part that no American admiral will state plainly in a press conference. A single Iranian naval mine costs approximately $1,500 to manufacture. The total investment required to seed the strait with 4,000 mines is less than the cost of a single American F-35 fighter jet. On the other side, the United States Navy has spent over $1 trillion on warships, aircraft carriers, guided missile destroyers, and nuclear submarines. Not $1 of that investment helps find a mine sitting silently on the seafloor with its electronics powered off. The mine does not emit a signal. It does not move. It simply exists in the water, invisible to radar, invisible to most sonar frequencies, and patient in a way that no human defender can match. The specific tool designed for this problem was the Avenger-class minesweeper. These ships were built from wood and fiberglass, with hulls containing almost no ferrous metal, engines mounted on rubber vibration dampeners, and propellers made from non-magnetic alloys. A wooden ship moving through a minefield is nearly invisible to the magnetic and acoustic sensors that make influence mines detonate. This was the right tool for exactly this problem. In September of last year, 5 months before this war began, the United States Navy retired all 11 Avenger-class minesweepers, gone from the active fleet simultaneously, replaced by littoral combat ships with steel hulls and no meaningful mine hunting capability. The timing of that decision is the single most consequential procurement mistake the American military has made in this century. The one littoral combat ship currently in the Persian Gulf is the USS Oakland. At the maximum operational tempo that one ship can maintain, clearing the strait would take between 18 months and 3 years. The Navy is throwing everything else it has at the problem. Trained bottlenose dolphins, whose biological sonar can detect objects electronic systems miss. Unmanned underwater vehicles called knifefish and kingfish scanning the seafloor. MH-60 Seahawk helicopters sweeping with laser detection systems. P-8 Poseidon aircraft patrolling with listening equipment. Every tool in the American inventory is being used around the clock. But the geography defeats the technology. The strait is too wide. The mines are too numerous, the currents move them too continuously, and the window of time before the economic consequences become irreversible is too short. Every day the strait remains effectively closed, the global economy loses an estimated $1.2 billion. That is $36 billion per month. Japan has activated its Strategic Petroleum Reserve. South Korea has negotiated emergency supply agreements with Norway and Canada. European refineries designed to process Gulf crude are running at reduced capacity. The economic clock is running in one direction, and the mine-clearing operation is running in the other. And the question of which one reaches its limit first will determine the outcome of this war. And there is one final angle almost nobody is addressing. Under international maritime law, a nation that lays mines in an international waterway is responsible for their removal, even after hostilities end. Iran has publicly denied laying any mines in the strait. Every mine Iran refuses to acknowledge is a mine Iran can refuse to help locate, and a mine that nobody helps locate is a mine that stays in the water until it kills someone. The Strait of Hormuz could remain a hazard to navigation for years after the last shot of this war is fired, sitting silently on the seafloor, waiting with the specific mechanical patience of a device that has no concept of time and no preference for when its moment arrives. So here is the question. The most powerful navy in human history cannot clear 4,000 mines from a 33-kilometer strait fast enough to matter. The mines cost $1,500 each. The navy that cannot find them cost more than $1 trillion to build. Is this the moment that exposes the fundamental vulnerability of American naval power? Or does Iran's minefield represent the last desperate play of a regime that knows it is already lost? One side says the mines have already won, that the strait will never fully recover as a trusted waterway in our lifetimes. The other side says every mine is eventually found, every strait is eventually cleared, and Iran has guaranteed itself a peace agreement that will demand mine removal as its first condition. Write your answer in the comments, because the people who say Iran has created a problem America cannot solve, and the people who say America has simply not yet decided to solve it, are about to have the most consequential argument on this channel. And if you have not seen our full breakdown of the 6 hours in which Iran's government publicly contradicted itself on the Strait of Hormuz and moved $6 trillion in global asset value in a single afternoon, make sure to watch that one next.